What's up, guys and gals, and welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we are going to take another pass at a game that I covered a little while ago, about 6 months ago, in fact. Not a whole lot of games coming out at the end of the year this year. We gotta wait till probably the end of January or so, or maybe February before we start getting the crazy stuff. And so for now, we're going to check back in on a title that we had the pleasure of playing 6 or 7 months ago called Alaloth. This is a really strange RPG. So whereas most games coming out this year are CRPGs, something along the lines of Pillars of Eternity or something along the lines of Baldur's Gate, this is also seeking out to be a CRPG, but with sort of Soulsy combat attached to it, a weird overworld map system. I mean, this game is just a jumble of stuff going on. And so today we're going to revisit our last look at the game, because this has had several updates since the last time that we played, adding full-on lore systems to the game, adding more dialogue, adding more speech, all that kind of stuff. I've been playing for a couple hours prior to the recording of this video, and I think I'm about ready for my thoughts to go ahead and give them to you. Of course, these are not going to be full review thoughts. This is a first impressions video, but it's time to update our coverage of this strange little RPG. If after watching this you wanted to get the game for yourself, it is indeed in early access and still being updated. You can check that out down below in the description. I've always got a link for you. On top of that, you can also take a look down there if you want. You'll find a link to my Discord and my Twitch stream, just in case you wanted to hang out live most days of the week. Let's get started. So in Alaloth, what is the game? Alaloth is a isometric, sort of pre-rendered, this is an odd game because the character himself is a 3D model, all the enemies that you're fighting are a 3D model, and it's an action RPG game with very Soulsy combat that revolves around perfectly timed dodge windows and perfectly timed parry windows. Both of those are fairly generous and feel good to pop on off, but at the same time, they've made the interesting decision with this game to use pre-rendered backgrounds like you would see in a classic CRPG like Baldur's Gate or something like Planescape Torment. This lends the game a very interesting visual design, but in this title, the gods have gone to war. They've all been fighting each other and bashing each other's heads in a great struggle against evil. There's a big demon guy named Alaloth that is now trying to awaken deep down within the soil, who's kind of like the destroyer of all things. We have kind of like a Ragnarok type situation going on, and we are a champion that has been selected by one of the 4 or 5 kingdoms of the realm. There's like an elfish one, there's an orcish one, there's a humish one, and I think there's a dwarvish one when it comes down to the different kingdoms you can play as. But there's a number of different kingdoms. Each have selected a champion, and those champions are now working their way around the world, attempting to figure out exactly what procedures we have to go through in order to stop Alaloth from rolling up on the table, flipping over the chessboard, and making us all look like fools. The game has a couple of different gameplay modes. Those gameplay modes are largely going to weigh out to how you personally want to play the game, but there's kind of like an Iron Man, there's like a normal mode, and then on top of that, there's a thing called the champion mode, which is kind of like the intended play mode of the game, in which oh wow, there's cultists back here. Interesting. Wherein, in the champion mode, back to what I was speaking about, in the champion mode, you've got other people from other kingdoms that are also cruising around the map that imposes kind of like a little bit of a time limit on you for as you play the game, and it becomes a competition. How can I beat all these AI adventurers to stop Alaloth and make sure that my kingdom becomes the chosen one that saved the world from tyranny? And that's honestly probably the most interesting gameplay mode right there that you've got going on along the way. It is kind of like a pseudo open world game. Sorta. And what I mean by that is this game does have a paper map, and you have kind of like a little toy icon that you use to move around said map, but there's sort of like these predetermined locations, so in general there's not going to be like attacks along the road or anything. There's kind of an exception to that. You can have like these bounty quests that you'll do while you're cruising around the realm that will give you little drips and drabs of money just in case there's like crafting or any sort of equipment that you want to buy in between your adventures. But really the vast majority, why I say kind of open world, is that the vast majority of the game kind of takes place in these preset environments. Wow, this guy's actually kind of tough. like the one that I'm in right now. And these are going to be all over the map, and each one of them has a skull rating. That skull rating determines how difficult the map will be when you decide to log in and fight your way through that map. There does seem to be pretty good enemy variety from what I've seen so far during my play session here today, but I don't know exactly how many of those there are. I'd have to go out and count them. It's been a couple hours of playing the game, and I've done 2 or 3 of them. I think I'm on the 3rd one right now, and this is by far the largest one that I've ever done before. And in fact, I'm kind of afraid to like touch on things and look at things, but this is explaining a lot about why lizardmen have been attacking a neighboring settlement. It looks like the priests here have actually created some kind of like slithering lizard cult that they're now worshiping or something, and they're sending them up to the surface to steal people. So that's good. That'll be one less problem for the environment. But the open world portion of the game is not going to be like what you would expect from something like Skyrim. And to sort of fill in what I mean by that Skyrim comment that I was touching on just a second ago, adventuring in Skyrim is a full 3D environment. You walk down the road, you see grasses, you see trees, you see cows. If you see like a cave or something, you can go over and interact with that cave. This is not that game. They put you on a paper map, you have a little icon, you have like a little bead on the map basically. It moves around. There are packs of monsters, sort of JRPG style, that can attack you while you're moving around on the road, and in fact, you will get repeatable quests from like bounty boards to take care of that situation. They're a little bit overly farmy for me, so I kind of only did a couple of them, and the paychecks didn't seem that good, but there are little quests you can do out there that sort of deal with the fact that there's bandits on the road, but you're not going to be able to walk in a full 3D environment and, you know, take a look. Oh, there's a cave over there next to that tree. I'm going to go explore it and find out some small intrigue. Not really the case. This game is going to orbit almost entirely around points of interest that then just become hack and slash dungeon crawls. If you like hack and slash dungeon crawls, I do think this game has a pretty satisfying combat system that I have enjoyed interacting with in a lot of ways. And so basically there's 4 basic moves that you can do in combat, maybe 5 if you're being generous right now, and those are going to make up your basic activities in a fight. Is this guy going to hit me? I was going to say. You can left click, which is going to allow you to do a light combo. You can right click, which is going to give you a strong combo, and then from there you've got your shift key. The shift key is going to allow you to parry. Perfect parries are a thing in this game, as you just saw right there. Oh, he stunned me. Oh no, I gotta pull back and heal real quick. Oh, I'm all out of heals. Never mind, I'm bad at my job. All right, well, we'll do a health potion then. Aside from the parry, though, that you get to play... Oof, I gotta stay out of the way of this guy. There we go. Oh, flatten him. Man, those guys are tough. Aside from the parry, you've also got a dodge. It's kind of like a little slip and weave slide right there. It does provide you with iframes, in case you were curious about that. You have the ability to use that perfectly, and it'll pop up with a little icon that says dodge. And so there is skill-based gameplay here, and what I actually like about this game's combat is that it has a rhythm to it, and it has a structure to it. This is clearly a budget-built game being made by a small team, but it is an original RPG that's doing something that no other RPG is really doing right now. That is to say, isometric Souls-like gameplay that takes place in a larger map environment context with almost like a racing other champions facet to it. If you take a look, we do have equipment. Oh, I can't change my equipment in dungeons. I forgot about that. Once you equip up your potions and all of your loadout, they're locked in once you go into a dungeon, almost kind of Iron Man style. So if you run out of potions, you can't reach down in your backpack and get more potions. You're just going to have to forestall your logic there and be like, so why did I leave every last one of my belongings outside the dungeon, even though when I walked up to the dungeon, I had them all in my backpack? Listen. You're just going to have to accept that this is a video game and there's some rules there. But what I mean is, here's the final chest. Every dungeon has a final chest that'll have some preset goodies inside of it. Let's go ahead and take a look here and see what we've got. But aside from the slip and the dodge, you can level up your character. You can get perks and skills. A lot of them are just bare basic passives, but there are a couple of windows you can open up that'll give you fireballs that you can shoot or something like that. Oh, nice. We found a legendary book. One of their most recent patches is that they added a whole bunch more voice acting and introductions to some of the places you adventure in this game, and then from there they added a ton of books to the game to flesh out the lore. The intro to the game when I played this time was different from the last time that I played, which is like the only reason that I bring that up. This game does not have XP. This game does not have any of that stuff. Instead, what happens is every time you defeat one of the dungeons where potentially you can form up a plan to stop Alaloth, Every time you do a dungeon, you get progression. That's it. If you can't beat the first dungeon in this game, you will not progress any further because you will not be getting any stronger aside from being able to buy gear or maybe do side quests that'll give you, an armor, or will give you like a cloak that gives you extra resistances or the ability to stop damage. But the actual progression in and of itself happens by defeating dungeons. Every time you defeat a dungeon, it alternates between giving you a stat point, giving you a legacy point, or giving you a skill point. Skill points allow you to actually get usable abilities. You'll see here that I went with the Way of the Gods, and my first pickup, because I always play Cleric or Paladin or Templar type characters, I very much like the archetype of the Holy Crusader, and judging from the Baldur's Gate 3 play stats, everyone else does too. I always thought I was original for being a Paladin player, but I guess not. I've always played at tables in real life where nobody ever wants to play the Paladin, and so the feeling that I always got is that I always played the Paladin, or I always played the Cleric because I like to play him and nobody else wanted to do it. But it seems like the real world operates on different rules, and everybody else likes what they've got going on there a little bit more, and they play Paladins as much as I do. This time around, we got a legacy point. But last time I picked up a heal for my character. I think next level we get another one. There's a structure to it. It's like 157 something where you get new active abilities. They don't pop in super frequently. The ones that I'm looking forward to is I want this AoE right here. I want to be able to consecrate the ground. I was also kind of thinking about maybe getting like a bolt of holy light that I can shoot at somebody. There's also a paladin bubble, which seems like it might have nice utility because this game does have skilled combat. There's a rhythm to it, and if you don't pick up on that rhythm, the game is going to punish you hard. And so having a paladin bubble for when I inevitably miss a parry or miss a dodge, and I can slam that real fast to save myself from the 30 hit combo that's about to drop on my head from the enemies that were surrounding me, would be nice to have. Right now we can pick up another proficiency if we want. I took heavy armor the last time I took one. We've also got a bunch of other passives in here that make it so that like your way of arms come back faster. You can make yourself muscle bound so I get more stamina. It looks like my run stamina cost is lowered in combat and I get more carrying weight for loot. It looks like we can get duelist, which means that my parry window gets larger. I can make my dodge window larger. So it does seem to me here that there are a number of customizable options that they've got distilled down effectively. So a lot of games would make you fill up a meter right here, click, 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 to add in like 8 points per level up. They've done away with that, and they've made it so every other level you get one of these types of points, and you can just drop them where you want for the full bonus right now. Some of these things are going to be difficult to parse. You got to open this tab right here. This should be open, in my opinion. I don't even know why this exists right here. It should always be on the detailed mode because defensive streak right there with an icon is not helpful at all if you've never played the game before or if you're just forgetful. I like to keep these opens at all time. But there's also no tool tipping in this game. I'd like to see it so that when you mouse over this, you get this same information that comes out when you unfold down there. But I just wanted to make sure people notice that because this game does that a lot where there'll be an icon or an ability name, but it won't tell you exactly what it does. And until you notice the more info button right here, you're just not going to know what a thing does because there effectively is no tool tipping inside of this game. I'd probably take some bleeding resistance maybe, or muscle bound here feel pretty good to me. We could also specialize in a weapon if we really wanted to do so. I don't really have a battle axe or a warhammer or anything ready for me just yet. So I'd probably lean towards making myself muscle bound probably because we've got the heavy armor thing going on. With my next proficiency, I'll probably pick up heavy shields, maybe light shields. Haven't really decided yet. I think maybe round shields I'll pick up next time. And then from there we'll advance. I've got a bunch of treasure that I need to sell. We've got a Ring of Vigor. Gives us 20 of something. I don't know what that does. What is that? Apparently it's my maximum stamina, so that's pretty good. I actually want that a lot more than I want a ring that gives me frost resist because I've never, ever fought a frost enemy so far. Your gear in this game does have durability for some reason. I can't tell you exactly why that is. in my opinion, it doesn't really seem to add a whole lot to the game. Whenever you get hit or hit people, you lose durability. There will be a little repair bench outside each dungeon right here. At first, I thought that the durability system might exist because it was supposed to be an economic control figure. That is to say, it was meant to stop the player from accumulating too much gold, because when I repaired my items at the actual blacksmith in town, they were very, very expensive. However, the repair kits that you get that you can just play over there, they're super cheap and they cost basically nothing. So once you can repair your own stuff for free just by finding that on the vendor, you kind of don't have to worry about the financial consequences of repairing your gear. I don't know. I would just get rid of the repair system entirely. I don't like repair systems. I don't like durability systems. I'm super inherently balanced just on that front I'm super inherently biased along that front to begin with. Here's another dungeon spot. That was the world map, as you can see. Whenever you go to a new world map spot, you get the Dragon Ball Z announcer.
The tower slowly sinks into the swamp. Strange occurrences plague the area, and none are brave enough to venture in. A green light can be seen in the mist, bringing death and misery to the fool that follows it.
This guy voices every single intro and every single cutscene in the game. He's very, very enthusiastic about it. I guess that's going to come down to like a style choice, whether or not you like that sort of next time on Dragon Ball Z, voice. Just pointing out that it exists and it's a thing. Let's do another dungeon real fast. I've been doing a lot of prep work, and so anyways, I probably should have gone and picked up some more potions. But let's go rock out another dungeon real fast before we go back to town. Once I get back to town, I'll show you some of the beautiful pre-rendered artwork and things that they've got going on in their various cityscapes. And in fact, all the key art and everything that surrounds this game has more art assets than any other small title I think I've ever seen in my life. The artist for this game is working overtime. I'm going to tell you that right now. Yeah, probably just kind of hammer. Oh boy, okay, we got to get out of that situation. There's a big guy in there too. What's he gonna do? We'll block him with the parry right there. Oh boy, okay, don't want to end up there. Take him out. Block still killed him. Got big guy with an axe right there. A bunch of little gobos trying to cause all kinds of problems with their little bows. You can press control in order to chase guys down. I wasn't using my lock right there though, so I'm being very inaccurate with my pursuit. Dodge him. Looks like he's just got like a basic axe swing, so let's see if we can parry. There we go. Get him the nice parry window right there. Let's not get too crazy, though. When you get parried, you do get bounced just like they get bounced, and so when the enemy's got that blue around their weapon, it means you got to press C and kick them. I don't really try to kick them. I usually just back off and let them reset and see what happens next for me personally. But it's up to you. I would have liked the ability to break crates and things inside these areas. But there are lootables around that you can play around with, and the game does sport very diverse environments. Every single dungeon in this game has had a different theme or a different atmosphere going on. Some of them are almost like a troll mire or like a bog. I fought everything for... Oh, okay. I didn't know his animations because I've never fought these guys before, and so I wasn't super sure how I wanted to approach that. But apparently it was just him trying to vomit a little bit of venom on me or something. Are you going to do the vomit or are you going to swing? All right, he's going to swing. Go ahead and back off that right there. In general, I would recommend maybe don't go for big, massive combos on a lot of these guys. Otherwise, you tend to get punished up a little bit. Go ahead and parry that right there, and down he goes. All right, let's see what nightmare awaits us up inside this little area right here. So we've got some treasure going on that side. Looks like we got a couple of frogs over there. Sometimes you're going to have to be a little cheesy with these pulls. I don't mean to, like, call it cheesy, but it kind of is what it is because this game really, really likes to throw very large packs at you. Oh, boy. Yeah, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. But we don't really have any tools or utilities to deal with large packs or punish them for being large packs, that kind of stuff. I think we're just going to have to kind of play hit and run with this one. There's just no way to attack this blob of enemies without just getting absolutely buried by counterattacks. That's pretty much what I'm looking at here. So what I'm going to try to do is manage my stamina and just kind of stay around these guys. And luckily, their attack animation is slow enough that if I don't get greedy, I can dart in and dart back out. This has been a strategy that has served me well with a number of mobs in this game when I get overwhelmed. and the game seems very, very dead set on throwing huge pack sizes at me. These frogs, more specifically, having fought them in the past, they got weird aggro tables, so I think they're not all supposed to pull together. I'm pretty sure you're only supposed to get one group at a time, but for whatever reason in here, you get the whole group every single time. There's a little bit of damage off. See, sometimes you just got to get aggressive. There we go. I hope they're not regenerating. It's kind of hard to tell. No, I don't think they're regenerating. We're definitely in a place right now, though, where I need to make a gap, but not in that direction because there might be more of them. Maybe back towards the entrance. Hit ourselves with a healing spell right there real quick. Oh boy. Okay, that healing was probably pointless right there. Oh, dude, when they're spitting back through each other like that too, and they don't affect one another with their own attacks, brutal. Oh, another one's down. Nice, dude, we're getting there. We're like slowly getting there. Health potion. Oh, dude, he timed that so perfectly. All right, so after a lot more frog fighting than I wanted to do here, one swing at a time, we ended up where we are. And this is where I think the combat system really trips over itself, is that the combat system is just fundamentally not built to deal with, like, large enemy volumes, basically. So whenever you get yourself into a situation like this, you got to fall back on that hit them once, jump backwards, hit them back, jump backwards. Makes the whole thing feel a little bit cheap. Hopefully this is... I mean, I'm not going to hold my breath, but I was hoping that this was the final room. I do see treasure over there, and we do have healing, so the game at least is aware that that room was a pretty gnarly pull. You got that parry off, huh? All right, all right, all right. What you want to do, big man? Okay, big swing right there, little block right there. Oh, we broke his parry, but only for a second. Oh, now he's blocking me in. Okay. Come on. There we go. Give it to me. Perfect. Down he goes. Sometimes you get loot off these guys when you kill them, too. What else we got going on in here? We got a few more frog guys. Well, I don't want, like, a ton of frog guys to come after me. So if this is going to end up being a massive frog army that I've got to deal with, I'd rather not. Sometimes the paths are not immediately clear where you can walk and where you can tread either. So he's going to do the vomit thing. Swing it. Man, the way that they push past each other like that just to get in like a free swing. There we go. Nice little dodge right there. Keep dragging him back. Maybe feed up a couple of hits. I think it might be time for a weapon upgrade is what it's looking like to me. I think we need a weapon upgrade. These guys are proving to be quite tanky. There we go. I'm not like breaking their guard or anything either, which is really making it take a while. There's our free heal right there, so we're good to go on that front. This has definitely been one of the more difficult dungeons that I've gone through just due to the health pools on some of these frogs. They don't like to die none. All right, nice dodge. I like to congratulate myself every now and again when I don't do dumb stuff in games. You know what I mean? Like when you actually perform, you gotta give it up for you, man. Every now and again, you just gotta be your own best cheerleader. The good news about the frogs is, despite their huge health pool that they're playing around with, they don't parry, which is nice, which means I don't have to spend time like kicking them and stuff. Kicking the frog though sounds like some kind of euphemism. Oh, that's a big dude right there, and I don't know what he do. He got like a retinue as well. Oh, he does the same stuff the other ones do. Fair enough. He's got like a flail, though. I don't know how the flail plays into this whole deal, but I think I'd rather not find out. Break his guard real quick. I'm going to try and be just the smallest tiny bit corny about this. Oh, he dodged me. Look at you over here with the frog-like dexterity. Got poison on us now, too, which is problematic. All right, a little aggressive right there. I just need to get the boss isolated by his lonesome. And I think if I can get him all alone on the battlefield, we can be okay. Oof. or I'll get smashed by a giant AoE, and then while I'm locked inside an animation that I can't get up out of, I'll get hit again. All right. Listen, boys. It's time for y'all to get dealt with. I've already figured out the boss's pattern, so I think we'll be okay. It's just we got to get rid of his little homie over here. There we go. All right, so with the big smash, we hit him twice. We dodge out of the way. We let him big smash. He dodges out of the way, and I think we've got this. Yeah, just don't get hit by the final swing. That's pretty much the big thing. There we go. Nice little taps right there. You do got to watch the animation. If you don't, you'll regret. Hey, we broke his guard. Oh, got over aggressive. But you can see, like, there's definitely, like, a rhythm and, like, a play to it. I think we might not have been ready for this place before we came in it. I feel like we're not hitting that hard. So the last dungeon, I felt like we breezed through pretty easily, but this one, not so much. We struggled a little bit here. Let's grab our treasure, and then I'll show you some of the bigger towns. I got to resupply anyways because I'm all out of potions and whatnot, and my booty is bleeding all over the place, in all honesty. Greater Cloak of Preservation, 15 acid resistance. Greater Necklace of Might, plus 30 to your damage. That sounds good. Another suit of the same armor that we just got out of town, so that's a little bit of a bummer. But let's go ahead and repair up real quick. Yep, repair my equipment. There is crafting in this game. You got to find the recipes and stuff for it, though, before you move along. So you can do a little bit of alchemy, a little bit of blacksmithing. Nothing too complex or complicated, though. It's usually just the stuff that you loot out of chests that you're able to craft. I need to level my guy up, so we've got a stat point this time around. I like the idea of getting some more stamina regen, but I also like the chance of having a lot more resistance too. So I'm going to focus on, I lose a lot of health to bleeds and things. Like you get hit one time in a fight, but after you get hit that one time in a fight, you sit there and bleed, or you sit there and have problems, you know, with poison or venom or something like that for the next 30 seconds. And so that's kind of annoying. So physical damage, so that raises the damage that we deal by 45%. That does 140 magic damage if it hits. Damage is increased by 300% if they're an undead. 140 is not that much. I think I'll take the 45% bonus to my damage. Let's see this bad boy. So if you wanted to see one of their beautifully pre-rendered cities right here, you can absolutely do that. We can go down to Goldport. Everything on this game functions. Everything has a different setup, day versus night. So they took that into account with the day-night cycle. Alaloth, though, what do I like, what do I not like about it after this jaunt into early access? I think on the technical front, the game crashed once or twice for me during play, and that's going to be the biggest issue because it saves 0 progress when you're inside of a dungeon unless you complete it due to the sort of Iron Man constraints that they put on the gameplay. And so you'll be starting over from the beginning of the dungeon whenever it crashes. Tooltipping also needs a lot of work, and in fact, it doesn't really exist at all inside the game, along with more explanations to the iconography without having to unfold tabs or go look inside your character sheet. Tooltips would like fix all of that. You just mouse over it real quick. From there, the combat system to me felt fresh and smooth so long as you were in small group combat. In larger combats, it tended to fray along the margins a little bit, and it becomes pretty clear on big pulls that the Dark Souls-styled precision combat wasn't really designed to do that sort of mass enemy weightlifting. The options menus are pretty sparse, but you can re-keybind everything in the game, which is great. You can also adjust audio levels as necessary. The title supports both controller, mouse, and keyboard too. Gear to me hasn't felt hugely consequential yet in my first couple hours of the game. I haven't felt any of my upgrades aside from one big badass sword that I looted early on, and I did feel the damage increase from that. But with the armor and the amulets and everything, I haven't really felt a huge difference. So I think the game could use more items, more item diversity, and more options for gearing that feel meaningful, and they feel like they matter on the player's body instantaneously once you make that big purchase. I also think it may be time to bring the world map of this game up to the same quality as the adventuring zones, too. Right now, the adventuring zones feel really high quality, but the map feels kind of cheap and slidey, and so it may be time to bring those things to parity with one another. On the other side of things, on the brighter side of things I think the game does really well. The combat, as I mentioned before, is a lot of fun if you're in duels or small gang fights. It has a push and pull to it that you can feel in your inputs, almost like a swing that ends up feeling very nice and very planned and very structured. The spells are useful. Customization is limited, but has been distilled down to bonuses that matter. There's no like 1% increases here for your level up, and the active abilities in combat have felt fun. The world environments are diverse. I haven't adventured in any two places so far that had the same theme. They're all beautifully handmade. The pre-rendered environments look great. The soundtrack has this sort of late-era Ultima feel to it. I've been calling it epic MIDI that I think works, and the sound effects have been chunky so far to accentuate the action. I wasn't a huge fan of the DBZ-styled narrator, but that's probably a personal issue. The world, however, is full of that guy now, with full of voiced explanations as to why you should care about every location you enter. There's books all over the place, Skyrim style, that you can read now with one of the most recent updates. I don't read books because hitting things in the face is my siren. But if you're the literate sort of hero, you can dive right in, I guess. And the competitive adventuring mode, I think, is an interesting, unique add-on that adds a spice to this game that other games don't have. It adds meaningfully to the gameplay process. I would probably not use the race mode for your first run. Get used to the core gameplay loop and combat. And then if you still feel like you want to play more after 8 or 9 hours, run one of the race modes where the other heroes are trying to undermine you and, save the realm before you do. But kind of a mixed bag. This game always gave me like a Piranha Bytes feel to it, where it's unique, it's interesting, it has heart, but it's definitely got some rougher edges on it. It could use some development along various borders of the map, along various borders of the gameplay. I still like it, though. I think it's an enjoyable little title. I'll see y'all later. Thanks for being here, and I'll catch y'all tomorrow with something hot and fresh off the indie skillet. Bye, folks.